As far as movies go, Rocky is among the most beloved series of all time. It certainly is one of my personal favorites. Many people hold these movies as classics, but there's one 91-minute life-snatching POS that I feel must be addressed. This horror is none other than Rocky IV. No, not Rocky V, Rocky IV. Rocky IV is way worse, and I'm going to tell you why. Nothing can prepare you for how this movie works. It's not long after you start watching the celluloid catastrophe that you realize you've made a mistake. Everyone has their own favorite bad movie. You know it's bad, but it still has its delights and charms about it that make it an enjoyable experience for you. I'll be honest, I enjoy movies like Wild Wild West, Godzilla vs. Megalon, and Attack of the Clones. Now, when I'm watching these movies, I try to make sure no one is around because it can be a little embarrassing if someone walks in on me partway through. But if I walked in on someone watching Rocky IV, I'd feel embarrassed for them. Even as the movie starts, it stands apart from its predecessors. Rocky 1 to 3 each began with a scrolling text accompanied by the Rocky theme, Gonna Fly Now. Instead, this one plays the song Eye of the Tiger, which was featured prominently in Rocky 3. Now, the beginning of the film stays true to the effect that it starts with the fight scene from the last film. However, it doesn't stop there. In case you forgot from the previous movie, Rocky and Apollo spar one another as part of a pact, which has everything to do with Rocky IV. Ding, ding. Because that's the sound a bell makes. Now, the film doesn't get much further than that before we begin to find out what it is really all about. We come to a scene in which the Balboa family is celebrating Paulie's birthday. And Paulie, the ungrateful bastard, is just sitting there pissing and moaning about absolutely nothing.
Look, why don't you bring the cake in here? We can get the celebration underway.
I guess we all needed to be reminded why we hate him so much. Anyway, Rocky says he has a gift that he's really excited about. Well, what could it possibly be? What would get the Italian stallion so worked up? Wait for it. Oh my god, it's a freaking robot. Just take it in for a minute. When I first saw this, I thought it was a bad joke. Doesn't Rocky take place in the real world? What the hell am I watching? The 5 scenes that this abomination pollutes get substantially dumber, and ultimately bring an all-new meaning to the phrase, absolute shit.
I wish I wasn't in this nightmare.
Good call. Not only is the robot known to speak, play music, and operate telephone calls, oh yeah, and apparently it can eat too. Not even gonna touch that one.
Don't forget to feed your robot.
But now the audience is expected to believe that it can take on a wifely persona to Paulie. What a crock of shit.
You're the greatest. See you, sport.
Look at the reactions on the other actors' facial expressions as the robot enters the room. It's almost as if they're beginning to realize that this was a bad idea. I'm not certain, but the robot sounds an awful lot like Talia Shire, the actress who played Adrian. You know, Paulie's sister. Which brings me to ask, how many issues does Paulie actually have?
Either of you.
She loves me. Oh.
Later on, Paulie's robo-wife becomes a nuisance even to him. The robot hassles him by reminding Paulie to bring a toothbrush because he knows how tobacco stains his teeth, which only disturbs me even further. Why the hell would she care? Paulie then closes the scene by stating that he's going to have her wires tied. Too bad we didn't get to see that. The last time we see this metallic moron is where it's babysitting at the Balboa household and is dressed up as freaking Santa Claus. To me, that's just a garnish on the shit sandwich. At least it didn't speak. Honest to God, what was next? The robot develops a Santa persona and goes from shitty movie to star in Rocky's Christmas special. There's a spin-off I want to see. So retarded. You know, the only saving grace for Sicko the robot was... Wait. The robot's name is Sicko? Or maybe it's Psycho. Either way, it's not very good. I swear to God, the more I learn about this movie, the more it seems like it was a deliberate attempt to piss me off. Anyways, The robot is just assumed to have disappeared along with many of the wealthy belongings in Rocky V. There was no emotional farewell between the Balboas and the robot, thank God. It wasn't there when they arrived home, it just suddenly vanished like Jar Jar Binks, a very similar ass-ache. Now in good movies, characters that fill in the comedic relief do so without annoying the audience, like this character in the film Fist of the Red Dragon. Look at this character, she's annoying, rude, and a pain in the ass.
What are you yelling so loudly for? You trying to defy me? You want to control me, huh?
However, her scenes are few and far between. And this movie has another thing that Rocky IV doesn't have. Bam! He slaps the ugly right off of her face. Awesome.
My God, are you okay?
And I think I'm a little turned on. Aside from the robot, another thing that pisses me off is the absolute cheesy feel that seems to flow throughout the rest of this film. Here are a few scenarios.
It feels great. I feel like I could eat nails, Stallion.
You know, I never tried them things, you know.
What are you talking about?
The snails, I never had them, you know. I see them in the garden, but I never want to eat them.
I didn't say anything about snails. I said nails. Nails, Stallion.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God.
Nails.
Now this part here I just don't understand at all. Who are these guys and what is their problem? Is it because Rocky is American? I can see how Rocky's running speed could cause the car to swerve out of control like that. Now, this Russian spy, or whatever he is, decides to chase Rocky on foot. Isn't this guy from the area? Shouldn't he have better footing on the terrain than Rocky does? Well, apparently not, because instead of pursuing Rocky, he just makes like their economy and drops dead. The training montage is clearly the worst of the Rocky movies. I don't get it. Like, I realize what he's up against and everything, but do you mean to tell me that when I'm pushing 40 years old, if I start chopping wood and doing weird shit and various other household chores, that I too can take on a 6-foot-tall monster professional boxer that juices up on roids? Could this get any more ridiculous? Could this get any more ridiculous? Could this get any more ridiculous? My God. Now maybe I'm just nitpicking, but even the kid acting is bad in this movie. Seriously, they couldn't get better actors than what they did? Like, compare them to other kid actors like Macaulay Culkin, Peter Billingsley, or Dakota Blue Richards. These kids seem to have come out of nowhere and still managed to do a pretty bang-up job.
If a big giant man wanted to beat me up, I'd be real scared.
Ugh.
Don't go too fast.
Yeah.
What do you think we are, nerds?
You are for watching this movie. I know I am. So what are some of the good things about this movie? The final fight between Rocky and Ivan is the only part worth watching. In fact, the fight scene is the only way that this movie should ever be remembered. Even though Rocky's victory causes the entire series to lose credibility, it's still entertaining to watch. However, I think the thing that sucks most about this movie is the fact that it is a Rocky movie. It doesn't feel like a Rocky movie. Not once do we even hear the faintest hymn of what should be Gonna Fly Now. Instead, we get some mediocre 80s rock, what have you. Rocky is no longer the comedic relief, and Apollo is a complete jackass. The only thing that remains true to the Rocky series is Adrian's and Paulie's characters. I can't imagine the letdown this movie must have had on the fans when it came out. The hype must have been incredible, and this movie is what they received. I mean, everyone could have foretold the coming of real shit suckers like Plan 9 from Outer Space or Jaws the Revenge. But the fact that this is a Rocky movie makes it worse. This movie should have been classic, sort of like Episode 1. And after the third installment of the Rocky series, you could see where the movies were beginning to become a little bit cheesy, but it was still a good movie. It was like a nacho cheese kind of good. But the cheese that resides in Rocky IV is the kind of cheese you find laying at the bottom of a garbage dumpster next to a grocery store. Just isn't pleasant for anyone.